Well, this year I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to try Ocas. Now, Ocas are a South American tuber, much like potatoes are a South American tuber. But whereas potatoes have been bred for hundreds of years, so that we've got lots of different varieties, and so that they mature at the right time, they produce tubers at the right time for our climate. Ocas, although they're from the same place, haven't had all the breeding work done on them. So they still produce tubers quite late in the season. The day length needs to be less than 12 hours. And they do all their growing right at the very end. You plant them quite early, so you need to plant them really March, April time, early May at the very latest. They'll grow through the summer, and then they'll produce their tubers right at the very end, even after the frost has killed the tops. So we're looking at sort of October, November, December time is when all the growth goes onto the tubers. So not ideal for our climate, which is why they really need a bit more breeding work done on them. So I'm going to have a go at that, because I've joined the Guild of Oca Breeders, which anybody can do. And basically, if you join, which is £15, you get sent some Oca tubers, which you can grow yourself, and then you report back on how well they've done, and particularly if you had any which produced very early, or any which produce seeds, because obviously seeds would be another good way of speeding up the breeding process. So my Ocas arrived yesterday, and for your £15 you get 12 little envelopes with 12 different varieties in, which is really good value. They're not easy to buy anywhere. You can get them from some seed companies. One in particular, the Real Seed Company, do a very good range. But obviously Guild of Oca Breeders are searching all the varieties they can get hold of to try and find the very best, and to crossbreed them, as I say, to try and get them to tuber up earlier. So I've got 12 different varieties, and if you can see here, they're beautiful colours. So unlike potatoes, which are tend to be red or white, we've got a nice dark red one there, which is called Nancy. We've got another one called Nymph, which is really kind of iridescent colour there in the sunshine, really lovely. A more creamy one there called Nurse. I don't know who actually named them. They've also got serial numbers because they're still part of a breeding programme. So yeah, all various shapes and sizes and colours, which makes them really interesting. You tend to get smaller tubers for planting. The bigger tubers tend to be the ones we'd hope that once these actually produce, they will produce some small tubers, but they'll also produce some larger ones for eating. And once you've grown them, of course, you can save some for growing again next year, eat the rest. Very easy to grow, probably a lot easier than potatoes. They don't need earthing up or anything like that, and they don't get blight, which is a great thing. Completely different family from potatoes. So rather than Solanum, these are Oxalis family, and they do produce little clover-like leaves, quite pretty leaves. You can also eat the leaves. They've got a sort of lemony flavour. You just pick them off, throw them in a salad. And the tubers, if you eat them raw, and you can eat them raw, another thing that you can't do with potatoes, again, lemony flavour. Tend to lose the lemony flavour when you boil them, and they become more like a new potato. But you can boil them, roast them. I don't think you'd make many chips out of them, but you can make lovely soup. So I'm really looking forward to trying these at the end of the year. Now, when they arrive, go through them. Some of them might already have shoots on. One's got a tiny shoot, and I know, having looked through some others here, got one here called Napoleon, and this one looks a bit like a carrot at the moment. It's a lovely orange colour. That's already got quite a nice shoot on the top. You can just take them out of the envelopes when you get them, or bags, wherever you buy them from, and put them in a tray just like potatoes, and chip them somewhere frost-free. They're tender plants, just like a potato, mustn't have any frost. Somewhere frost-free and light, and they'll produce shoots. But you don't have to do that. They don't have to be chitted. You can just plant them straight away. Don't want to mix up all the names here, because, as I say, I've got one tuber of 12 different sorts. But first thing to do when you first get them, if you need to store them for any reason, they need it cool, otherwise they quickly dehydrate and shrivel. So somewhere cool, but I say frost free. Then get yourself a 5-inch pot or something around about that size, 4.5, 5-inch pot. Just fill it with any good multi-purpose compost, doesn't have to be anything special. Now these need to be planted about 3 inches deep to start with. If you chitted them, of course, you'd see where the shoots were, but I can see there's little buds on here where the shoots are going to come from. So obviously face those upwards, literally just push it into the pot, so it must be about 3 inches deep, as I say, and just cover it over. Now you can just plant them straight outside. As I say, they mustn't have frost, so you probably wouldn't be doing that until May time. And again, 3-4 inches deep, and probably about 8-10 inches apart, something like that. They do like a fairly sheltered spot, and a nice sort of bit like if you think of how you grow potatoes, grow these the same. So a fairly fertile, rich soil. They like it sort of neutral to slightly acid, just the same as potatoes. So that's all you need to. You don't need to learn anything different to grow them really. Now what I'm going to do, I'm starting mine off inside, putting them into these 5-inch pots. Once they produce some shoots, and they grow quite quickly, they'll produce nice strong shoots, I hope, with these clover-like leaves on them. And once there's a decent amount of root in there, and it will be, the frosts are over in my garden sort of end of May, beginning of June, I hope they'll be ready for planting out. And what I'll do is literally just plant them out to the depth of the level of the compost in the soil. As I say, because these are all ready started, the bigger tubers I'll probably give them perhaps a foot. Some of the tubers I know are very much smaller, so they'll be sort of 8 to 10 inches apart in the soil. I have also seen them grown in things like potato bags, or you could use black buckets or big patio tubs, and I'd probably put about 2 or 3 tubers in one of those, and again just grow them just like potatoes. If you were planting potatoes in a potato bag, you'd put them right at the bottom, and I think we've got a video of planting potatoes in bags which you can find on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You'll see that we plant them quite deep. With these, because they're not affected by light, they don't go green if they get hit by the light as potatoes do. You plant them on the surface and you don't have to worry about earthing them up. The roots will go down and they'll produce more tubers down in the compost without any earthing up at all. Just keep them moist, feed them with a high potash fertiliser, probably once a fortnight. Do need to make sure they don't dry out. You don't want them to wilt, otherwise it's sort of checking their growth and you won't get so many tubers. But remember that you don't harvest them when you'd harvest your potatoes. You leave them right until the very end of the year. You can leave them outside, whether they're in bags or if they're planted outside in the ground, so that the frost just kills the tops off. The first hard frost will just kill them dead, and you'll panic and you'll think, oh no, all my tubers are gone, but they'll be fine underneath. You just pull all the old leaves off and compost them, and then you can lift the tubers. As I say, I would leave them for 4 or 5 weeks. Once the tops have died off, even then, leave them for 4 or 5 weeks, because that's when the tuber growth starts, and that's when you'll get your crop. If you dig them up too soon, then they won't have grown. So that's Ocas. Gonna give them a go. If you have a look on the website, the Guild of Oca Breeders, you can do the same as I am, grow along with them, obviously as long as you order in time for planting. But a very good experiment, I think, and it's a good example of sort of citizen science. So rather than a company doing the breeding and then getting all the royalties, it's the varieties, should we find them, will be available to everybody, so we can all grow them and benefit from it. And with climate change, we're all looking for new things to grow, and also new tastes in your diet. It's just something interesting to try. So do try Ocas. We'll come back and see how we've got on at a later date.